Well, my name is Christine Anderson. I'm an elected representative for the German people in the EU Parliament, and I try to serve their best interest. If you give executive powers to a non-elected body, then you no longer have democracy, you no longer have accountability of elected officials, and who will the citizens hold accountable for having been taken away their rights? Who will they hold responsible for this? In theory, and I have to say in theory, elected representatives, they run the risk of not being elected again if they screw up. But a non-elected body, the citizens have no recourse anymore whatsoever. And this is not how democracy is supposed to work, because you are taking away the rule by the people for the people. That's what you take away with this. And people need to understand, if this treaty goes through, you can bury democracy altogether. It's done with. They have the right to call out a pandemic, and once they do, they will seize executive powers of the member states. So it's now not the government, let's say the German government in our instance, that will impose restrictions on us that we could theoretically fight. Even that was, hard enough to do. But how are you going to go against WHO? I mean, you can't drag them into court. You can't threaten them to not elect them anymore. They don't care. I mean, they're funded by the richest of the super rich people in the world. They don't care. They have all the money, and they don't care about fundamental rights or democracy. If they say, you will stay at home for as long as I tell you, you will. There's always hope. And there's quite a few things you can do. It's not easy, but for one, get involved. Take an interest in what's actually happening, because that's part of their game. They're removed these decision making so far away from you. They're counting on you to no longer care, so they can do whatever the hell they want, without you ever knowing it. So get involved, stay on top. And I know this is hard because they're doing everything to make it as hard as possible. I mean, a lot of people nowadays work 2 jobs. I understand when you're coming home and having worked 2 jobs, you don't want to be bothered with politics or decision making, none of that. But you have to, because if you don't, then they will walk all over you, and that's what they're doing. I mean, there's a lot of things going on, and you kind of need to see the big picture. It's various different mechanisms, instruments, crises they need to fight, whatever, integration of EU, have the super state. But you need to see the big picture, the goal of all of this. It's abolition of democracy, taking away your freedom, and it's no longer to abide by the rule of law. That's what they're trying to do. So get involved. Now, luckily, MEPs are elected. So write to your MEPs and let them know what you do not want. And if they vote for this, that, or the other, then tell them, I will not vote for you anymore. That gets them scared, So there's, every once in a while, there's like a campaign, but it's usually run by the left side, So we get like thousands of emails, It's basically pretty much the same thing. Urging us to vote for this or not vote for this or whatever. But that's what people need to do. Let your MEPs know what you will tolerate and what you will not tolerate. And let them know in no uncertain terms that you will not stand for anyone taking any rights away from you. Another thing you could do, if you don't want to write emails, it might actually be better to write letters to their offices. Pointing out an issue that you do not agree on. Organize, talk to people. If there is, other citizens around you organizing protests, join them, voice your opinion. Be there, be in our faces, because that's what we need in order to represent your interests. So, like I said, get involved, and for God's sake, turn off your TV. Seriously, I turned off my TV a long time ago, and I will have to say it was very beneficial to my mental health.